Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nasalli ala rasulihil kareem amma ba'd. So somebody asked Maulana Shafri Thanwi rahmatullahi alayh that the qaida that we have, the fuqaha and the ulama have deduced from the nusus and the text of the Sharia, Quran and Hadith, is that the more effort you exert, the more reward you will get. And I explained a bit of that previously. So the question is, what if something becomes second nature? And that thing that becomes second nature is an ibadah. We used to get reward for this. So for example, let's say fasting becomes second nature, you become very habituated to it, you like fasting. So the mashaqqa is gone. Let's say you start reading the Quran and you become so habituated to reading the Quran that you enjoy reading the Quran. It's no longer any mashaqqa, any difficulty and hardship reciting the Quran. Will I still receive reward for this? Because there's no more difficulty. So he mentions here, and this is, if you look at it properly, that the Prophet ﷺ says in a hadith that يولد كل مولود يولد الفطرة, that every child is born on the fitrah, and not nature. And that capacity, that nature is such that if he were to be left alone, he was not to be made into a Yahudi or a Nasrani or a Majusi or an atheist. You will leave that child alone in a sound environment. That child will choose Islam when he grows up, because the ahkam and the rulings of Islam are in line with the nature. So whatever the rulings of Islam are, they're in line with nature. Somewhere else he mentions that we say ad-deenu yusrun, deen is easy. But sometimes, in reality, practicing upon deen is difficult. That's because of a secondary element, not deen itself. An easy example of this is certain places, I'm not sure, obviously with social media and you could take pictures and all that very easily, it may have lessened. But in certain places, India was at that before, I don't know how it is now. When we went in the 90s, it was like a rishwa and rishwa meaning bribery is like standard. Like if you don't do it, you can't get by. So for example, I don't remember everywhere, but I remember like when we were traveling from Bombay to the village in Gujarat, Surah. So the police would stop you at a station, or stop you at one of the checkpoints, and they say, Saman Urhav, take all the goods down from the truck, from the jeep. And then my grandfather, rahmatullahi alayhi, he was on Maulana, and he studied in the he studied under Maulana Mani rahmatullahi alayhi, studied in Deoban, graduated from Randir. He would give them, just to give them chai pilo, 5 rupees or 10 rupees, much ever it was, he would give them a rishwa. Now why is he doing this? Because there's no other way. Because if you did that, this is ma'ruf, it's known. If you don't give it to them, they don't have a like, there's no system in place where they're actually supposed to stop you. Just under they stop you, okay, take all the stuff down. And if you don't give them the 10 rupees, they'll take everything down and just keep you there until you give it to them. So then it's not, you can't. So in that time, on that road, to practice upon deen is difficult. Not because it's difficult. Because why? The people have made it difficult. So wherever you see any mashaqqa in practicing religion is because the society, the person has become fasid and corrupt. For example, not consuming drugs is easy. That is it. Don't consume intoxicants. This is the fitrah. When you do this, it will spoil you, make you fasid. But if you become habituated to it, your nafs becomes habituated to alcohol, to some of these drugs, and also likewise some of these highly dopamine, which cause a lot of dopamine, these kind of devices, movies, gambling, slots, rewards quickly, all of these kind of things that we experience, to do them very difficult. Because now our tabi has become fasid. And if you have a person who's gone sober, and that's why you have Alcohol Anonymous, they're trying to get rid of it because they've understood that the fitrah and the nature is not to have alcohol at this level, not to consume drugs, but you can't stop because the tabi and the nature has become fasid. So deen in itself is easy, and every amal of Islam is in line with nature. The problem is either your person as a person you become fasid, corrupt, or the society we live in has become corrupt because of which things become difficult. Another example is like a person is sick. Now, if you lost taste, or your taste buds have gone, a tasteful food, a very tasty food will become tasteless. So not the food got a problem, you got a problem. So in itself, all the a'mal and all the actions of Islam are actually in line with the tabi'ah. It should be normal. So if you do practice an action of the Islam, and it becomes second nature to you, you will still get reward because they're all supposed to be like this, and you will get the reward because you trained yourself according to this. You will, even if everything becomes And your nature, as long as you have the niyyah of doing it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you. It's also a ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's made deen things easy for you. This comes if you're lucky enough to have a good childhood, then the good activities become your nature from onset. You have good company, it makes it easy for you. Sometimes they struggle for other people. They habituate to the bad stuff and then have to come over. So all of these things are different tests, different ways Allah wants to give people Jannah. So sometimes, as I mentioned before, sometimes you read the stories of the pious and everybody is different. And sometimes you normally only hear the stories of very, very good childhood, very, very good youth, the whole good life. Sometimes a person had a struggle. He may be a disbeliever, committed, involved in certain actions, and then slowly, that's his struggle. Someone was born in a house where his father was a hafiz, qadi, and from the age of 6 he's reading the Quran. So his struggle is something else. So it doesn't mean that at one particular level, because it's not your tabi'ah, it's not very easy for you to do amal upon the deen. You're going to get Jannah. Allah to say about it differently. But the ultimate thing is, Allah has made it easy for everybody, and you can your nature can become in line with this. And if it comes in line with this second nature, this means you won't get reward. You will get reward because everything is in line with this. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us subhanallah wa bihamdihi subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.